Bar for bar interviews. This is the first one.
Nice.
You got Bajwa. You got whatever this guy's name is today.
Yeah, Slim and or Shady.
And we've got our first interviewee, Jose, aka S1N-X. Well, I don't know. Like, I kind of introduced yourself. I was gonna let you do your thing, but
It's the boy, S1N-X, aka Beast Boy, aka Sin, aka Mr. Hats. What's up?
So, what are we doing today?
So you're interviewing me because the transformation's coming up. Open mic that I do annually. It's the 13th annual one, and it's quite possibly my last one.
Last one, eh?
Yeah.
How did it start?
So back in '07, I was helping out at a youth center in Hayward, and the gentleman that was running it, Jose Fuentes, was like, "Hey, like, you know, I know that you do a lot of these open mics, you host, you perform, whatnot, and we're trying to do a fundraiser for the youth. Like, are you down to put it together?" I'm like, "Yeah." And sure enough, it was just one of those things where I put together the transformation, and from there on, it's just like every August, it was just like one after the other, and people were starting to like really expect it to the point where after I think like my third year, I was like, I'm kind of done, and people were like, no, you still gotta keep going, you still gotta keep doing this. I'm like, all right, and then we went from the youth center to a coffee shop called Patty's in Union City. Then we went to a couple pizza places, and then that's when we landed at Bronco Billy's Pizza Palace in Fremont.
And so it's always been kind of like a fundraiser sort of deal?
Yeah. So we fundraised for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, Teen Youth Suicide Prevention, Oakland Children's Hospital. We've raised funds for 2 different youth programs in Hayward and Union City. And this year I decided to do it for a scholarship that I created. Well, I got help with creating it at Cal State Youth Pay for Dreamers.
Nice. So, regarding the scholarship, what sort of, I guess, requirements or what sort of target students are they going for?
So it's aimed toward any and all East Bay students. They're at Cal State East Bay, and it's for Dreamers. So students that come from a background of like they came over here with their family or by themselves illegally. And the thing that sucks is that Dreamers, they can't really like get jobs. So they have to try to find jobs on campus or hopefully rely on scholarships, grants, loans, or help from their parents because they can't go out there and get jobs.
Right.
Because they can't find any legal work.
Actually, didn't know that you were running the shows like up till now. But like, how exactly did you learn like how to organize all this stuff? You know?
So that's the tricky part. So it's not like I got to learn from anyone before me. It's like I just got thrown into it because as I went along, I had to learn how to like talk to people, make connections, and ask people, hey, I don't have the necessary equipment, like speakers and microphones. Can I borrow this, borrow that? I would rent equipment now. And the cool thing was like a lot of people that I knew, like a friend of mine named Carrie, she would let me rent her equipment out for cheap. Like I'm talking about $30-$40 for like 3 mics, speakers, and everything. Because there was people that were like, oh, well, it's like $160-$200 to rent my equipment. I'm like, I'm trying to do this for a fundraiser. I can't really afford that. But then
you got no budget for it.
Yeah, I don't. And then the thing is that with putting the shows together, I had to have a list. I had to reach out to people, see who wants to perform, and then like time manage. And thankfully, like I had like a lot of friends that helped me out with shows throughout the years. I had my boys RJ and Josh, Kurt, Brian, like many people. And thankfully this year I got my boy Alex, who's gonna be helping me out, and he has the equipment. So I'm like, cool, like let's make this happen. But the thing that like still gets me is that even though I have everyone's name, I have everyone like for certain time slots and this and that, I still get nervous.
Yeah. I know we had talked about it a couple weeks ago, like how kind of related to how like it ramped up so quickly this time.
Yeah.
Like you said, you went from different venues. And
yeah.
Can you go into that a little bit?
So you're talking about starting off at the youth center.
Yeah.
It was just mainly like the youth, had a couple of their friends, people from the neighborhood. And then when we got to Patty's, his coffee shop could only hold like maybe like 80 people standing room.
Yeah.
And then one of the shows, he comes up to me and he's like, yo, there's about 300 people here and you need to make space because the fire marshal's coming and the exits are blocked. I'm like, okay. After that performer got out, I'm like, yo, can we make room, like more, like get away from the exits, like Wild Marshall's on his way and whatnot. Yeah, and it's just a trip to know that like it fluctuates.
Yeah.
So like there's times where we'll get a minimum of like 20, 40, 50 people. And like at the max, I've seen like 300-400 people at these shows.
Yeah.
But with this one coming up and how it's been ramping up, I'm like, yo, there's gonna be like probably more, and I'm afraid.
Because the last couple times you've done it at Bronco Billy's for a couple years, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think you were saying last time like it was damn near full, right?
Yeah. So damn near full in the sense of like sitting space.
Okay.
But there wasn't people like standing up and whatnot. But this time, like, I had to go talk to them and be like, yo, there's gonna be a lot of people this time around. And he was like, just as long as like, you know, everyone's cool, everyone's chill, and you know what to do. I'm like, okay. I'm still scared.
Right. It's crazy how many, like, because I see you posting like pretty much every day, like either people who've already confirmed or like newcomers,
yeah,
or people who've been like returning artists.
Yeah, and it's
insane how many people are coming in.
Yeah, because a lot of these performers, like I've had at older shows, and I have newer people coming in that, you know, I told them about the shows in the past,
yeah,
and they're like, oh, that's cool, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, this show's now elevated to the sense of like, now that everyone knows this is the last show he's doing, everyone's like, we're all coming out. I'm like, okay, cool, don't scare me.
I know you mentioned it's your last show, or potentially last show.
Potentially, yeah.
Why is that?
So, at the end of this year, I'm done with Cal State East Bay. I graduate. There's a possibility that I'm going to go into a teaching credentials program. If not, I have also been looking at nonprofit organizations, and I'm just trying to like start. I'm just trying to start with focusing on my career, or at least a career-oriented type job. And I'm also working on my book.
Yeah.
And I'm at this point where, okay, I feel comfortable, like letting this go and saying, okay, this is the last show. At the end of the year, I'm gonna either jump into teaching credentials or hopefully land a nonprofit organization type job, something career oriented, and say, okay, this is where I start. This is where I start my career, and I move forward and I start working on my book, because my book, like, I've already planned it out to the point where like I can turn it into a trilogy, and I'm like, cool. I just have to start working on it more.
Right.
I only have like a chapter done for the first book. I'm like, I'm working on 3. Okay.
And you're saying you're involved in the youth center like decently, and you know, with all these selfless pursuits, just about going towards your teaching credentials, doing all these charities. Was there any way that like the youth center at all contributed to how you are now, or anything specific?
So yes, and it happened in the most like life-changing way. I was working at a retail store, and I was driving back home from work, and just blocks from the youth center, I got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh.
I got hit, full T-bone driver's side. I was knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, when I came to, the doctor was like, hey, like, glad you're alive. You have no broken bones, no ruptured arteries, no nothing. You survived. And he said, you're a miracle. I'm like, well, how bad was the accident? I had bruises, and there was parts of my body that I couldn't move without feeling a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And then when I went to go see my car, it was a complete wreck. Like, the engine block shifted out.
Oh.
The tires were almost completely off. The rims cracked. windows shattered. Like all I remember was getting hit and blacking out.
Yeah.
So to see that, I was like, okay. And I was already like performing at open mics and slam competitions and whatnot. And a buddy of mine was like, yo, like, we should really check out this youth center close by there. Because, you know, I know you're trying to look for a place to do an open mic. We should go talk to them. And when I was driving, I was like, yo, this is where the car accident happened. Like, that's a trip. And then when I started going there, and I started like seeing like how the students were interacting and like the kind of help that they needed. Yeah, like it really changed my perspective and my outlook on life, because you know, it's like one of those like I almost died.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was changing, and I started talking to students more, and from that point on, I guess you can say like helping them out, and then like going and doing other open mics and like learning by connecting with other people, talking to them, getting to know like their struggles and like what we're doing and how like these shows helped people. I was like, okay, so I felt like I was doing something right.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of going into like open mics and stuff. Like how'd you get into that?
So I started writing poetry like on and off like 1999 to 2001.
Okay.
And then I did my first full year of college well, I mean, I started in 01, but I only took one class. So in 02 is when I officially started. And I was writing poems and I was going to open mics here and there.
Yeah.
But then I met my homie Mark, and he was like, hey, like you should really go with me to the slam poetry competitions. I started going with him like to San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. And I was like, okay, like, you know, I'm trying to hear like how poets are sounding, like what is that they're talking about. And I was like, okay, cool, like let me try my hand at it. And then it got to a point where like either him and I would start competing against each other, or like he would dominate at an open mic, or I dominate at an open mic. And then like our friend Ray came in, and like we formed a collective, and then from there we just started doing different open mics. And yeah, then it came about where I started hosting them at the youth center.
So this is 13th one. You want to just kind of like name off some of the attendees or like performers at least?
Oh man.
Like at least the ones that, you know, just the ones you can remember.
Okay,
They gotta go through.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of them.
So there's CNC, so that's Christine and her sister Charlene. Her husband Chris is going to be performing. Chava, he's an up-and-coming comedian. Sean, he's a comedian, but he's also the he's the roasting champion. So they have like a club where like they roast people and try to practice their comedic skills. So he's the champ. He actually has a belt. Mitch is coming through. He does music and poetry. I also have my homie Brian. He's coming through. He's going to be singing, and he recently said he's going to have his band come through. My buddy Rodell, he's coming through. He's got some bars, but he also does some singing, and he said he's still trying to see if his band can come through as well. Yeah, like just so many people. Like I would have to bust out my phone and look at my IG list right now.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I was saying, you got a lot of people coming through.
Yeah, and part of it is like surprising, and part of it isn't. Like the people that, like, I don't want to just say they're regulars, but like they're people that have come through and supported the show every single time. Like I know they're coming through. Yeah, it's great, but then to see the outpour of like other artists that I've never had at any of my shows, but they've either seen me perform at shows that they've hosted or they were at, or they've heard through other people like, yo, Jose has this great show he does, whatnot, da-da-da. And they're like, yo, I'm down.
Yeah.
Like, before I can even ask them, or like when they saw the flyer, like, yo, put me down. I'm like, bet, you're on. Cool.
I was gonna say your network's hella big too, because like I think like the one open mic I went to with you, like damn near everyone there already knew you. Like I walk in, I'm like, you've never been there.
Yeah, the one that was Petus, right?
Yeah.
The Poke Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that one was a trip because like before we even walked in, I just remember saying to you, there's some people that probably know me. Just saying. And you're like, okay. As soon as we walked in, it's like the first 3 people at the door. Then we're
Like,
walking.
oh shit, you heard it before?
Yeah, like it was like, oh, we got you. You don't even have to sign up. Like it's gone to that point now. Like when they see me, it's like, okay, like you don't need to sign up. You're good. Like yesterday, I was supposed to go to an open mic in Fremont. I couldn't make it because it's my best friend's daughter's birthday.
Okay.
And one of the homies texted me. He's like, yo, they just called you. I'm like, ooh, did I sign up? Like, I've been over here in San Leandro the whole day, like, what? And he was like, no, like, they saw that you said interested or going on the Facebook page, so damn, I had just said that you were here. I was like, oh.
Like, not even with confirmation or nothing. They just, it was like, well, wait, if he's here, sure.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, that's what happens. Like, when we walked in, it was like, the first 3 people, oh, you're here, don't even sign up. And I'm like, okay. And then we get to the cashier, and it's the owner. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, how's it going? You're like, what the hell?
How do you know all this? Like, it's cool. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know so many people through this. Like, I mean, I'm honestly not surprised that you're getting so much support just because of your network.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. But like, also, like, all those people aren't just showing up; they're also promoting it.
Yeah, and that's always been a great thing because like everyone's just down to help out.
Yeah.
Like as soon as everyone saw the flyer, they're like, okay, cool. It's on the 24th. He's still doing the show. It's at 6 o'clock. But then when people started seeing, hey, sliding scale to get in is $2, but if you can't pay it, you're still good.
Yeah.
And then when they saw what it was for, they're like, oh, down.
Well, clearly I'm going to donate.
Yeah.
You know, this with your life being so busy, I know this is like the last one, but do you see yourself doing, any more in the future? Or in the near future, or like maybe this is?
So that's the thing. So I can't say for sure that this is the last one. But if it is, I'm okay with leaving it where it's at. Like, a lot of times, a lot of people have asked me, I won't say like maybe the last 5 years, the last 5 shows, people have asked me, are you going to do any more? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe. We'll see. And then as the time starts drawing closer, like, everyone's like, hey, you're going to do the show? And I'm like, yeah, I got the time. But this year, like, this how much time it took for me to like really like take it in, talk to myself, like weigh everything out. Because, like I said earlier, it's like it's either gonna be teaching credentials, work for a nonprofit, like something. But I'm gonna get started on my career. Yeah. But I had to like sit down and really talk to myself and think, okay, can I really do next year? And usually, like in January, February, the owner of Bronco Billy's expects me to come in through the door and say, I need a Saturday in August. We'll go through his calendar and be like, okay, I want that day. Cool, it's mine, fine. We start talking about it and whatnot, and then I go and get the flyers made. This year, I didn't walk into Bronco Billy's until late May, early June. And as soon as I walked in, he's like, where have you been? I'm like, I don't know. And I was like, I need a day. He's like, okay, let's talk. Picked the day, and I was like, okay, this one. He's like, okay, church. He's like, you already know what you gotta do. I'm like, all right. So from there, I went out. My cousin Joel started working on the flyer. And then we didn't get the flyer ready until late June. Early July. So for the response to happen in such a short amount of time, it really surprised me.
So where and what time is this event?
August 24th, Saturday, Bronco Billy's Pizza Palace in Fremont off Block Cow Road, 6 p.m. But performers have to show up between 5 and 5:30 for check-in.
6 to 10.
6 to 10. Sliding scale is $2 to get in. If you want to pay more, cool. And all donations, 100% are going toward the Dreamer Scholarship at Cal State East Bay. I'm good. I'll be performing 3 times. Beginning, Jay Wills is opening, and the closing.
Will you be posting a lineup as well? Like kind of like a set time sort of deal?
Oh, no.
I don't blame
I'm
you.
right now working on the time set just for the performers, so I can tell them you're performing at this time. Am I gonna post one up online? No.
Well, thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming to round 1 at Southside Mall.
They don't pay us, but they should.
We'll see you on Saturday the 24th. Bar Boys will be there.
Buy us soda.
Thank you.
That's it.